Senator Lindsey Graham really is a gem, provides so much reasonable clarity and moral perspectives on America's war with Iran and why it's necessary, essential, and it really did pose an imminent threat. I want you to watch the speech that he just gave about the American and Israeli Operation Epic Fury. It's quite a detailed speech, so if you have the time to watch it, please do check it out. It's important. And by the way, if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button on our channel, as well as like, comment, hype our videos. All these things really, really help us to grow and get into the algorithm. Have a watch.
I'll go ahead and get started. You're entitled to your opinion. It's a free country. Whether you like President Trump or not is up to you. Your view of the war is up to you. But you're not entitled to your facts. You're entitled to the facts. And here are the facts. To my Democratic colleagues, I challenge you today to prove that I'm wrong. During the negotiations to find a peaceful solution to the Iranian nuclear problem, President Trump sent Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to negotiate with the Iranians. They say, Mr. President, all they want is peaceful nuclear power, the Iranians. They've been saying that, and they should be entitled to enrich, like other countries like us, a bunch of nations enrich uranium for peaceful purposes, and they claim, why not us? Because you're cheap. The IAEA, not me, not Lindsey Graham, you've had a history of not living up to what you say about your ambitions, that your enrichment facilities are not designed to produce peaceful power, but to produce a weapon. So during the negotiations, Witkoff and Kushner offered the Iranians, listen, if you'll give us your highly enriched uranium, we will guarantee you a lifetime fuel supply for free, that you can have all the spent fuel you need to operate a peaceful power program. You don't need to enrich. And if you want to enrich for medical purposes, very limited, fine. But you can't have an enrichment program that would lead to making bomb-grade material because you're not reliable. And I would go a step further. It'd be like letting Hitler have anything. See, the difference between me and I think a lot of people here, maybe most Democratic colleagues, I think these guys are religious Nazis. Hitler wanted a master race. He wrote a book. Nobody believed him. He literally wanted to kill all the Jews, and nobody believed him. The Ayatollah's the same. The regime is built around a cult of death. They want three things to purify Islam. They're Shiites. Their number one enemy is Sunni Arabs. They think they've got the faith wrong, that they're traitors to the faith. They hate Sunnis because they're not true to the faith. And Saudi Arabia believes it. So they want to purify Islam, bend it to their will, make every Sunni reject their view of Islam and accept the Ayatollah's view. That's what they say, not me. I believe it. Number two, they want to kill all the Jews. And they openly say it. They're not hiding their disdain for Israel. They actually talk about it. They put death to Israel on, like, milk cartons. These people are serious. And you should take them serious. Like in the 30s, people didn't want to believe that Hitler meant what he said because they were tired from World War I. And they said, oh, he's just all talk. He wants this, he wants that. He wants more German-speaking territory. He's not completely crazy. You know, he's sort of just doing the Hitler thing. Well, he was completely crazy. Now, I don't know why he wanted to kill all the Jews. I don't know why Hitler thought the Aryan race is the only pure race on the planet. But a lot of people are dead because we got that wrong. Let's don't do that again. We're playing like World War II never actually happened. And you're rewriting this regime's history. From 1979, what have they done until today? What have they done to make you think they don't believe what they say? What behavior have they exhibited that they really do want to be normal? So during those negotiations, when they said no to every offer under the sun, they said something that was a fatal mistake for them. Oh, by the way, we have 460 kilograms of uranium at 60%. Now, why did they tell us that? They were trying to intimidate us and letting us know that if we don't bend to their will, we'll have a problem. Now, what's the problem? The difference between 60 and 90% enrichment is weeks, Mr. President, not months or years. And when you get to 90, that's weapons grade enrichment. That material can be turned into a nuclear weapon. 460 kilograms at 90% is enough to build 10 nuclear bombs. And I'm talking weeks, not months, to go from 60 to 90, and they were threatening to do it. So what did President Trump do? Instead of begging them not to, instead of giving them a bunch of money, bribing them not to, he blew up their enrichment facilities so they couldn't get to 90%. Called Midnight Hammer. Mr. President, I'm glad you did, and it's clear to me nobody in the Democratic Party would have done that. The question for my friends on the other side and critics within my own party, how could they have 60% enriched uranium at 460 kilograms without cheating? Everything you wanted to do to contain these people failed. The JCPO, every agreement that's been offered to restrict Iran's nuclear program failed if, in fact, they do have 460 kilograms of uranium at 60%. So here's my challenge. If you don't believe that's true, come to the floor and tell me why I'm wrong. We know that the material at 60% is under all the rubble of the enrichment facilities. And we're worried that somehow somebody's going to get it before we do. So it is a fact that they had produced enough uranium at 60%. That means they're cheating, because there's no commercial purpose for uranium to be enriched at 60%. None, zero. You don't need that to run a nuclear power program. You need nothing beyond 20. To go to 60 means you're a threshold nuclear nation. Why 60? It's just a small jump to 90, and they want to intimidate and blackmail the world. So when they told us that, we got this much at 60, Trump said, well, that's all you're going to do because I'm going to take enrichment off the table. And thank God he did. Their enrichment program has been obliterated, and they couldn't go to 90. But I think they'll come back at it, Mr. President, one day if we don't deal with it now. So that's Midnight Hammer. Epic Fury. What happened after we blew up the enrichment facilities? Within weeks, they were actually, the Iranians, trying to start over again, going deeper. What was the lesson they learned from Midnight Hammer? We're not deep enough in the ground. And here's the most telling thing. They were trying to create a new enrichment capability that did not require an air shaft. Now, why is that important? The bombs that were used, that were dropped on the enrichment facilities, went through the air shaft, penetrated and blew up the facilities deep underground. That's a testament to our air power, that the air shaft opening was about the size of a refrigerator, and we dropped bombs through those air shafts to obliterate the enrichment facilities they had. Instead of learning their lesson and let's sit down and talk about peaceful nuclear power, they went the other way, and that's just, I think that's a fact. So Epic Fury. If you do not see this as an imminent threat, then you're blind for your hatred of Trump. There are people on the left and people in my own party that are more afraid of Trump being successful than the Ayatollah having a nuclear weapon. That's sick. That is sick. When Obama took out bin Laden, I clapped like a seal. Every time he wanted to go into Syria, I was there with him and John McCain. I've tried to be bipartisan on such things. I never have ever introduced a resolution against a Democratic president under the Congressional War Powers Act to limit their ability to protect the nation, ever, because I think it's unconstitutional. I've never done to a Democrat what you constantly are doing to this Republican president. And when a Republican tried to do that, I objected. If you don't like what President Trump or any other president's doing in military matters, cut off the funding. We have the power of the purse. We could stop funding for these operations, and that would be constitutional. What we can't do, in my view, is become the commander-in-chief. You can't have 535 people becoming the commander-in-chief, and that's what the War Powers Act does. After 60 days, if Congress doesn't approve, military action stops. Basically, under the Constitution, you can be commander-in-chief for only 60 days and Congress takes over. That's not what they had in mind. Let me tell you what the founders had in mind. A single person, the president, to be commander-in-chief, and Congress to have the power of the purse and regulate the land and naval forces. That's the balance we've had all these years, and the War Powers Act is unconstitutional because it destroys that balance. But it doesn't mean Congress is out of the game. Literally, if you had a resolution or an appropriation bill denying funding for Epic Fury, I wouldn't agree with you, but you would be on sound constitutional grounds. Now, why do I oppose this? Not just because I think it's an infringement on the power of the president and an overstep by the Congress. I think it'd be really, quite frankly, dangerous not to finish this thing out. In 18 or 19 days, we have done a number on the ability of Iran to build ballistic missiles to hit us and our allies. And if you don't think they would, put yourself in the same category that miscalculated Hitler. What is it about the Iranians you think they really don't mean what they say? So we've destroyed that ability to build those missiles to come after us. And they were building 100 a month before we did this. The second thing is they have been funding Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, proxies. Hezbollah has a lot of American blood on its hand, killed 220 Marines and sailors back in the 1980s when we were in Lebanon trying to help with that civil war. They attacked our barracks. There are a lot of American blood on the hands from Afghanistan, IEDs made in Iran. So these people have been at war with us since 1979. Finally, we're pushing back. Instead of doing deals that don't work, we're trying to eliminate the threat in a responsible way. What happens next in Iran? I think the people will have a chance down the road to decide that, not me, not you. We're not going to invade Iran. We're not going to do the Iraq-Afghanistan. There's no reason to. What we want to do militarily, Mr. President, is eliminate the threats. They can't fund proxies. They can't build nuclear weapons anymore. And they can't build missiles that would terrorize us in the region and Europe. When we accomplish those three things, here's what I think will happen. We will build on what President Biden started, which is normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, why is that big? Senator Booker's been great on this. He's gone with me when Biden was president. I was a Republican trying to build on the Abraham Accords, see if we could get Saudi and Israel to normalize, which would be the end of the Arab-Israeli conflict. It'd be the biggest change in thousands of years, and I'd be willing to help President Biden. I was. And, you know, we've had a bipartisan team. I was part of it. Well, October the 7th came along to stop that. Now, Mr. President, we were very close to having a breakthrough on normalization. Under President Biden, Tony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Brett McGirt, I went over there 8 times, I think. We were close, but October 7th was designed to stop what we were trying to do. It was a nightmare for the Iranians, I think, for the Arabs and the Israelis to make peace because it changes the region forever, leaving them behind. So October the 7th was an attack by Hamas, but it couldn't happen without Iran stopping normalization, and it's worked to a great extent. The tolerance for a two-state solution in Israel is pretty low after October 7th, and the Arab world is pretty inflamed because of Gaza. But we can't let Iran win the day. So here's what I hope we can do. Keep this military campaign going, weeks, not months. Continue to degrade the ability of the IRGC to terrorize their own people, to wreak havoc in the region, and we're going to take some blows. They still have a lot of drones, they still have missiles, but less every day. Gas prices up, no small thing for somebody trying to raise a family on limited income. But I believe with all my heart, you pay now or you pay later with this regime. And we were a couple of weeks away from the Ayatollah and his crowd having weapons-grade material for 10 bombs. And you think things are bad now? I can only imagine what the world would look like if this madman and his regime actually had nuclear weapons. One, I think he would use it. If you don't believe he would kill all the Jews, that would be a mistake. Certainly the Jewish people believe that. And this idea that we were drugged into the war by Israel, that's the oldest game literally in the book.
I'm not against Judaism, I'm just against Zionism.
It's not Jewish, it's Zionism.
Judaism and Zionism are completely separate.
You know, Judaism is a faith, Israel is a state.
You can be Jewish without being a Zionist.
Zionism and Judaism is totally diametrically opposed.
I'm sure you've heard this before, from protesters, from politicians, from even well-meaning people trying to navigate the Israel-Palestine debate. But I'm here to tell you that this separation is complete nonsense. It's a comfortable lie. The kind of lie that sounds intelligent but collapses the moment you actually open this book, the Torah, the Bible, and study Judaism on its own terms. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to tackle this myth head on. We'll actually look inside the Torah and see how in the very first book, Genesis, there's no mention of law or religion. It's all centered on the promise of a specific land to a specific nation. We'll trace how Judaism, not modern politics, but Judaism itself, is structured around one obsessive, relentless, undeniable claim: the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. We'll reveal why the building of a nation in the land of Israel is an indispensable part of the project of Judaism. Why Judaism is not a religion, it's the divine project of a nation in a land. We'll discover how the Torah preemptively answered the colonization accusation that wouldn't fully materialize for another 3,000 years. We'll explore why, if the land is so central, Jews had to spend thousands of years in global exile. We'll unpack what Zionism actually means, and how anti-Zionism doesn't just contradict Israeli policy, it contradicts the fundamental architecture of Judaism itself. For some people, this is going to be uncomfortable viewing, but by the end, we'll prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Judaism and Zionism are inseparable. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.
If it weren't for the Jews, we'd all be better off. It's the Jews that are always getting us in trouble. What an offensive thing to say. Israel consulted with us. We do have common values, and we have a common enemy. They don't just chant death to Israel, they chant death to America, the Iranian regime. They got our blood on their hands, just not Israeli blood. So the idea that somehow that President Trump got hoodwinked by the Jews is like, enough already. If you know anything about President Trump, nothing could be further from the truth, and you're just giving life to the idea that's been around for like 2,000 years with the Jewish people. Enough. So what I hope will happen, Mr. President, we'll be steady. American people, there's going to be some pain. The region, you're going to get hit again. We've lost soldiers. God bless them. God bless the wounded, a couple of hundred, and casualties may increase. But the only thing I can tell you about the military, from my time being around it, which is most of my adult life, the worst thing you can do to a military unit is ask them to sacrifice and not finish the job. You want to help the military? Let them finish the job they believe in, that is necessary, and you get nothing for finishing second in a war with mad people, crazy people. And if you don't think the regime is built around a cult of death, then you missed a lot. They want a religious world that they run. They want a religious master race, not an Aryan ethnic master race. They want to dominate the world through their faith. And that too should scare you. I don't intend to bend to their will. I don't think Sunni Arabs are. And you know what? Most Iranians don't buy that. But they've been killed by the tens of thousands. They've had it too. So I think we're close, Mr. President, to weakening the regime to the point that we can start again with normalization talks between Saudi and Israel, which would be the end of the Arab-Israeli conflict, the biggest change in 2,000 years. And if they can't do another October 7th, then I think we may get there. building on what was done by the past administration. So just think about it. We're not going to get a normalization deal that doesn't have a Palestinian component, because MBS, the leader of Saudi Arabia, can't recognize Israel till he finds some dignified solution for the Palestinians that Israel can live with. And he wants a defense agreement with us because he wants to come our way, not Turkey, not Pakistan, a mutual defense agreement. Well, to my Democratic friends, entertain the idea of helping us get there, but you should insist that there's something there for the Palestinians, and we all have a chance here to make history. A few more weeks, not a few more months, we should be at the point, in my view, that we can start where we ended before. And Iran's efforts to deny real peace to the region will have failed. Karg Island. Seldom in the history of warfare has a country or a warring opponent had a single point of failure. All their money comes from oil and gas in Iran, the regime, and all the infrastructure virtually is on a single island. If you control that island, you control the destiny of the income to continue this war. And remember what I said. I don't know what President Trump's going to do. As to this resolution, I have a lot of admiration for Senator Booker. We're going to be friends and we'll work together where we can. I think this is the wrong signal at the wrong time. I never believed it was constitutional. I never did it as Democratic president. But we do not need to do this, because if we stop now, then we're going to pay a heavy price later. The worst possible outcome is for those 32,000 people to go to the streets and die for nothing. The worst possible outcome is to suffer and not get it right. They have a pair of twos and we have a full house. It's not a card game, but we're in a good spot. To those who have lost their lives and been injured, you died in the service of your country, making the world safer, and that's what military people sign up for. And to those who have been injured, you've been hurt trying to stop something that matters. This is not a foolish endeavor. This is something that had to be done because they were going to break out if we didn't stop them. We were really a couple of weeks away from them having enough uranium at 90% to make 10 bombs, and the world would have changed in a blink of an eye. So I'm going to oppose this resolution. I'm going to support President Trump's plan to continue to defang the regime, and I join with my Democratic colleagues, if they would like, and if Saudi Arabia and Israel want to talk about changing the Mideast forever, I would encourage you to do what I did. Let's all work together to bring about the biggest change in 2,000 years. And the reason we didn't get there in the last administration is because October 7th. It wasn't any fault of anybody else. This attack was designed to stop everything we tried before. And it would be a shame and a tremendous missed opportunity in history to let the Iranians deny the region something I think they really want, to move forward, not backward. And I'll end with this. To the American people, I know it's tough. I know the economy on the gas front is hurting. But I do believe this with every ounce of my being. If we had not done this, they would be on the path, the Iranian regime, to a nuclear capability, and they would use it. Eventually they would use it, or give it to somebody who would. They're no different than Hitler except this. Hitler wanted a master race to run this world, and he was denied. Only after about 50 million people died. This regime wants a master religion to dominate this world. I don't know why, but I believe them. And we're so close to getting this right. And since 1979, this regime has been built around a cult of death. A 16-year-old girl was killed last year for not having the headscarf on right, drug off a bus and beat to death. The people have been in the streets, Mr. President, slaughtered by tens of thousands. Let's not let this moment pass. let's in a responsible way keep weakening this regime, giving the people down the road a chance to have a new Iran, stand with our allies, finish the job, and if you do it right, a gateway to peace will open up. And the biggest thing you can say to those who sacrificed, were hurt, and died because of what you did, you created an avenue for peace that is going to change the world. So I will be voting no, but I'm going to do more than vote no. I'm going to support an outcome that will change the world. The day this regime no longer can wreak terror and havoc is a good day, and we're close to that. And the day we can get back to the peace table between Saudi Arabia and Israel will be a wonderful day. The center of Islam, Senator Booker, is Saudi Arabia. That's where the holy mosque of Mecca and Medina are. And this young man, MBS, has made a decision to go a different way, and I've had my problems with him, but I really do think he's made a decision to go a different way that will benefit the region and the world. And I hope the Israeli people understand, if you want true peace, lasting peace, you got to deal with your neighbors. Abraham Accords tells me they're willing to deal with their neighbors. Let's don't let October 7th be the final chapter. Let's make sure we punch through what happened on October 7th, and we punch through right now to get the conflict in a spot where we can truly have peace. Last thought, you'll never have peace in the Mideast. We'll never know peace here at home until this madman regime, the Ayatollah and his henchmen, organized around a cult of death, can no longer hurt us. Thank you very much. I yield.
Just hang on for a moment. After covering Israel for years, I've realised that most of the lies boil down to one simple tactic used by Israel's enemies from the very start: the deliberate reversal of cause and effect. And our new documentary exposes exactly how this works. Have a watch of our trailer for our new film called The Great Reversal, and you can watch it in full right now by clicking the link below in the video description. For decades, one idea has shaped how much of the world understands the Israel-Palestine conflict. Israel did something wrong, and the Palestinians simply resisted. Whether it's 1948 or the recent war in Gaza, the story is the same every time. Israel provokes, Palestinians resist. Israel oppresses, Palestinians fight back. This narrative dominates campuses, the media, and much of global politics. It feels familiar, it feels intuitive, and for many people, it feels true. But what if the sequence is backwards? What if the origin point and every major chapter that followed has been told in reverse? In the wars of 1948 and 67, in the collapse of Oslo, in the suicide bombings of the Intifada, in the rockets after Israel withdrew from Gaza, in the massacre of October 7th, and the global narrative that followed. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to expose the great lie that has reversed cause and effect, a narrative engineered to help the real aggressors erode Israel's legitimacy. We'll trace the conflict from its origins to the present day, revealing how at every stage the true sequence of events was inverted, how aggression was reframed as resistance, how defense was recast as provocation, and how a conflict rooted in hatred of Jews was deliberately twisted into a story that blames the Jews. Join us as we restore the story to the order in which it actually happened and uncover the truth hidden beneath a century of lies. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.